So I do want this to kind of stand on its own, though. I want it to be an initiative or something larger that I can really anchor myself in and make it important, an important piece. Now, I'll integrate it into everything I'm doing, but I want to also kind of to stand alone and provide a framework for me to do a lot more in that domain. So I got unifiedlabs.ai. So I looked at everything. I looked at the landscape. I looked at what we did, what we already do. And I looked at things like, oh yeah, we already do a lot of this stuff. It's just, this is a different way to do it. And we can look at this from a different, it's just part of design. We don't need to change our name, Unified Web Design. We're going to still be doing web design. It's just going to evolve. And of course, I need also the download page. So that email in Mailchimp is going to send them to a download page. Right now, the download page is, guess what? Simple. There's some copy there, but it's basically just for them to download it. And later on, what I can do is I can add a video. I could add some other magic to get them excited. But right now, all I wanted to do is to be able to deliver, keep it simple, give them something that they'd want to sign up for, and that's it. So now that ties into everything we're doing. So when somebody signs up for that, eventually I'll have some follow-ups, which will introduce them to what we're doing in AI, introduce them to my consulting, introduce them to, it gives me an opportunity to follow up and, hopefully eventually close that business. Hi, I'm Matt Levenhagen, founder of Unified Web Design, Unified Plugins, and your host of the Builders Podcast. Here on The Builders, our goal is to uncover the first principles behind building businesses, products, and services. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe or follow wherever you're listening. And if you find value in our content, a like, share, or review is always appreciated. Let's dive in and explore the roots of innovation and progress together. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another The Builders. Today is another solo episode, and we are going to talk about my business a little bit today and what I'm doing in the agency space. I'm doing a lot of stuff right now. If you've been following along, and maybe and maybe you're experiencing this, because it seems like the more people I talk to, the more I'm not alone right now. And what I mean by that is a lot's going on in the world, right? Between the tariffs now, that whole thing, debacle, depending on what side of the coin you're on. But a lot's happened, and we all have to agree it's affecting a lot of stuff. And I have proof of that through my own business and what that's affecting. And I have proof through that from people I'm talking to, other agency owners and so on and so forth, other businesses. And it's just definitely having an effect. And so that is a thing. We have a contract this about a month ago. I think we're pretty much solidifying the deal. Estimates out there, proposal, and it was pretty much a done deal. And then it stopped as soon as I don't even know when the tariffs hit, but it may still happen. But I don't know what's going on over there. All I knew is, all I know is a lot they're dealing with. So contracts like that are paused. There's also, I'm hearing stories about people that are that have clients, businesses, or their client businesses are having to close. Maybe not immediately, but it's going to have a very quick effect on them, depending on inventory and all this. And we're talking physical products, but those type of things are happening. I'm going to actually have somebody on my podcast. I recorded it already, but she's impacted. I think we talked about this later in that episode where she was like at 13, 14, 15%. And as soon as those tariffs hit, it went to like 80, 100, 140 plus. And obviously she's importing her product from another country. And I guess we can say China, because I don't know if anyone else is over 140, but, and I laugh about it, but it's serious stuff. That's how I deal with stressful situations. I laugh a lot. So, so I cope anyway, and try to smile a lot. So you got that going on, right? So that's one thing going on. I'm just kind of setting this up, like why I'm doing all the things I'm doing right now. And we'll get into that. The other side of that for me, the other half, I guess, you got that going on and uncertainty in the world. And also, like I said, I'm talking to a lot of agencies that it's not just now, it's actually been the last year and a half. I just talked to an agency owner who's got a sizable agency, and they, were near flat last year, in profits. A lot's going on, so the other piece is AI. And it's dramatically changing the landscape for all of us in some way, shape, or form, right? Maybe indirectly in some cases, maybe directly. For me, there's some direct because I'm in the web design development world. What can AI do? It can design stuff and it's getting better. It can code. It can do a lot of the things that we pretty much have been doing. Now, there's a lot of things it still can't do. Like we're still maintaining things, right? Like we have maintenance contracts and updating WordPress or websites, or we're building features and we're doing all this stuff. That we're still doing all this stuff, right? There's still a foundation there, but I'm starting to see cracks. And we lost a different contract because of AI directly. And I may have talked about this on a recent episode. Maybe my last solo. I talked about a little bit of this in the last solo episode, probably a month, 5 weeks ago. But I've done a lot since then. So that's what I'm leading up to. So that, those type of things are happening. So when that happens in your business, but you have to do something. You got to take control of the situation. You got to look at what you can control, right? What can I control? And when I lose things or things start slipping, I need to adjust what I focus on. There may be periods of time, and there have been periods of time in my business where I'm focused on the business, the craft, getting things done, helping clients, doing all this stuff. We're still doing that, by the way. But there are periods like this where it becomes urgent and we waited long enough and we have to make some adjustments and changes and maybe a few pivots here and there to really not just ride it out, but set us up for the future. Because right now with everything going on, there isn't a lot of certainty, not for us. We have kind of the status quo stuff going on. We still have strong contracts, partnerships, but even them, they're being affected, right? So I can't expect that everything's going to be the same in 3 months, 6 months, or a year. So what am I going to do? What am I going to talk about? And that's what we're going to talk about. So one of the things that, and I probably covered this on my last solo, which you may or may not have watched. But basically as I'm looking at this from my perspective, I'm either going to let AI, now I'm thinking it more from the AI perspective and what's happening there. But all these other things, kind of come into play too. But when I look at AI and it's coming, the wave that's coming, it's already hitting us, basically. I think, what am I going to do about it? Now, I have framed it as we're not going anywhere, right? There's a lot of things that we're going to be doing differently, using different tools and different methodologies and different processes and different ways we're going to build stuff. But we're still, I'm still of the belief that, number one, people like to deal with people, right? So I had that conversation the other day with somebody. We're like, people aren't going to just want to talk with chatbots all the time. They want to know they're talking to a human being or meet a human being in person or whatever. So that people want to interact with people. So that's a thing. The other thing is that business owners, just because AI's out there doesn't mean they want to deal with it. Like us techie people are like embracing it, using it, going crazy with it. Probably tech departments out there and techie savvy people. But there's a lot of business owners that are like, they got their craft. They have their thing they're doing that's non-techie in a lot of cases, or they don't have the time. They don't have the space or resources or the team to do it. So they're still going to need people to help them bring these new systems, these new ideas, and these new processes and these new tools on board in their companies. So that's one of the ways I hope to position ourselves. And that is going to be, by helping them integrate, in our case, even websites, integrating AI into their processes and more automations. So that kind of goes hand in hand. There's this thing called agentic AI agents that are that not only automate things, but actually start basically working like an employee in your business and making decisions and really doing a lot. So that's the new, buzz that people are talking about. People always got to talk about something. They got to always have something to talk about. So all that stuff's happening. So, but the way I figured it, and after many hours and days and weeks and months of thinking about this, is, what? I think that I can frame this, number one, like I said, that we're still going to be helping people, but also looking at our services and what we do, it's not a huge leap. From our perspective, and this is something like, if you have a business, you have to, you can't just run the bit, you can't just do the business, right? There's going to be moments in time where you have to think about, you have to strategize, you have to really think deeply about the environment you're in, what's changing, and then what you do. And sometimes, like, what we're doing now is it's not changing. So this whole thing, we're known for doing custom web development and maintenance. That's kind of our two main pillars. And then within there, we build full websites and we build features. We also do a lot of integrations. We work with APIs. We do a lot of the stuff that is needed to implement AI solutions, chatbots, or whatever, right? So as I'm looking at what we're doing and what's happening, it's not a huge leap for me to be like, oh, well, this is kind of design as well. It's UX, it's user experience. I'm positioning ourselves in the process. It's already happening. It's already here. I'm positioning ourselves to kind of snap this onto what we already do. So we still do the custom, still do maintenance. So that's still a thing. That's still top of the chain. Not the food chain, but some chain. Top of the funnel. No, it's not really a funnel either. Whatever it is, it's still there. It's one of our main things we do. Been doing for years. But now we have the AI and automation piece. And so my thought, like now it's like, well, how do I do this? So it's, how do I turn this into a design thing, integrations, automations, and all that. So that's what I've been thinking about, and that's where I've landed. So now as I think about these things, I try to visualize my business, my websites, my online presence, my content. I'm thinking about everything through the lens of what I do, right? So the content we deliver, what we're focused on social media, on our blogs, on this podcast, and I do guest podcasting as well. I guest on podcasts. I'm thinking about all that stuff, and so I think about how it all ties together. And right now, up until now, it's all tied together. It all flows. We had 4 websites. Every website, a little bit different, but it all flows together. It all works together. That serves this serves that, and this completes that. This is an extension of that. And so that has solidified and that works. Well, now I'm going to introduce this whole AI thing. How is that going to fit into that without creating something completely new? And that's key. I've been in business. I've had so many businesses over the decades, and there's a few experiences where I've like, why did I pivot completely to a completely different industry and thing? Right. I went from insurance to contracting to the internet. I would pivot completely to a different type of thing. And like, I think back in the insurance, I'm like, what if I would have just stayed in the insurance industry and just went to work for maybe an insurance company or a different agency, or instead of just saying, scrapping the whole thing and starting over. And that's not what my intent is here. I have worked really, really hard the last 7 years to build the unified web design brand. That's not going to go anywhere if I can help it. If I have anything to say about it, which I do still. So I have unified web design. I have unified plugins. I have thebuilders.fm, which is this whole thing. And then I have mattlevenhagen.com, which is my personal brand, which I also have been working on. So but the first thing is, okay, so I do want this to kind of stand on its own, though. I want it to be an initiative or something larger that I can really anchor myself in and make it important, an important piece. Now, I'll integrate it into everything I'm doing, but I want to also kind of to stand alone and provide a framework for me to do a lot more in that domain. So I got unifiedlabs.ai. Unifiedlabs.ai, I was sitting there like, I came up with the idea. I was actually from a guest on the podcast here. They had something labs, something. They had labs in the name. I'm like, that's really good. And I probably that next day I was on Namecheap. I always go to Namecheap if I'm going to look for a domain. And I started typing in, trying to figure out if I could get something with labs in it. Sure enough, unifiedlabs.com wasn't available, but .ai was. So, and that's, of course, what I'm doing. So, okay. And so I got that. I think the domain was a little more expensive than the average, but I'm committed. So got the domain, and I'm like, okay, no, I'm going to use this. I'm going to do this really simple. So I actually built the site that's there now. It's super simple. In the future, it may evolve. Probably does. Most of my stuff does. But I literally had AI build the site for me. I used Claude in Cursor editor. I just explained what I wanted and it built it. So that's a whole topic in of itself. And there's iterations to it. I had to explain what I was envisioning, and then it translated that. You'll see if you go there, there's also a new Substack around these topics. And then there's 3 cards. And this is where everything starts to solidify my thought process, right? So there's 3 cards. There's one that's focused on the actual services, unified web design services, and the AI automation design page. I'm actually going to bring it up here so I can speak to it a little bit better. So I have a page called AI and experience design. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. I think the experience design makes sense, but with AI. So that's the first card. The second card is actually related to consulting. So weeks ago, I had a session with a friend of mine on the World Wide Web, and we did a whiteboard session to help Matt figure out how I might integrate consulting into what I do. I already consult. It's just baked into everything I do. So I consult with my clients every day about what they should do. And they come to me for advice or my thoughts around doing such and such a thing with their websites or their what they're doing. So I already do that. It's just within the framework of what we do for services. But I wanted to, just like I'm doing with AI, bring it more to the forefront. and but still have the AI thing tie in with that. So everything I do, I try to tie it into, like I see it as like this flow, this experience, this flow into everything I'm doing. So I'm not doing it just standalone. It's not out there. I think the only thing that's really, and it's not even standalone, you could say, is like the builders.fm, the podcast. But that ties into what we're doing too, because I'm talking about right now, right? So it does kind of serve those other three things I'm doing. So, but anyway, so that's the second card. And then the third card is related to solutions. And it's kind of a placeholder card where we're going to build products and solutions around AI. And so I have ideas around that. And that's just kind of a teaser of what I have planned on that side of things. Because I do think about products and other solutions that we might be able to develop. Now, that may also set the stage for us to build custom solutions for our clients or future clients. So I got that set up, and in that, like I said, kind of set the tone for things. The other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to create a new services page on Unified Web Design. And that is pretty straightforward. We don't use like anything like Elementor or anything. Actually, it's a very custom site. It's an old site, I understand. It's interesting, like we work in different types of websites, of course. And but this website I built literally back in like December of 2018, and maybe I might have waited until January of 2019 when I first started a business. But really, the framework has changed. There was different updates, major updates and stuff, how the code is and the code base. But really, it's still on a bootstrap. It still uses ACF. And anyway, so it's relatively simple for me to build out a landing page because we have flexible content blocks that we can throw in. And but yeah, so I designed my AI and experience design landing page, sales page. It was gone through a couple little iterations over the last week or two. I'll take a sip because I feel like I'm talking a lot and I'm starting to dry out. Anyway, so I built this out. The first thing was just going to be to focus on the service and execution of these things, because I was going to balance that with the consulting on the ML site. All right. So I built it out just for that at first. So that was kind of the first thing. And in all of this, I'm going to understand in all of this, I'm trying to work as quickly as I can. I am leveraging AI. It's helping me come up with copy ideas and tweak things. And I have it look at it and review that page and go over it with that page and some stuff I write. And then, we land. I did some design work, like a design the hero and all that. And that myself, but and I'm doing all this myself. So I'm trying to keep my team focused on client work right now, and I'm doing this in between stuff. And that's why I think like all this stuff is super important. Like you got to make time sometimes, especially when you see something as critical of what's going on right now. And so for me to kind of get this done, I have to work overtime. More overtime than the usual overtime. So I'm doing all of this myself. And I'm just telling my marketing person and I'm keeping her in the loop. Say, hey, by the way, I did this now. We have this over here now. We have this over here now. This is what I got now. This is what we're giving away. And we're giving away something now. Anyway, so I got that solidified. And then I went to mattlevenhagen.com, ML, we'll call it. I went to ML and I've been planning this for some time. I've kind of had a placeholder landing page there already. But I didn't want to attack it directly as consulting at first. I was thinking, how could I do this? And I did a lot of research. I did some deep research, even with ChatGPT. to see what others are doing out there. And one of the things that I thought might be a good idea is to start with an audit. Lead with that, and then consulting can be on the back end of that. Like I said, I already do consulting, but I felt like at first I'm like, I don't know if consulting needs to be the front offer. It can be just as I talk to people, it's part of that. Like we decide maybe we're not going to do something for somebody, but they could use somebody to consult on it, or just, in this case, just do an audit. Tell us where we're at, and then they can figure out how they're going to get it done, whether they use us or not. That was the idea. So it was an audit to basically audit a business, their website, their teams, whatever, and in the lens of are there things that they can become more efficient at? How could they integrate AI more? How can they have more automations? How can they even, use ChatGPT more, whatever. So that was the offer. So I built that offer page. Again, I'm doing this as fast as I can. Like I built that unifiedlabs.ai super quick. I'm going to guess, but it probably only took me a few hours. And that's with all the iterations. And I used, using a code editor to do it. There's no CMS. There's no content management system, no WordPress or anything. It's literally just an HTML page. I didn't even put the styles in its own little file. It's just all baked into that page. I bet it's super quick. But I built this one out really quick too. Okay. So we're talking, when I say quick, I'm designing these on the fly. It's taking an hour, 2 hours, maybe max, maybe 3, going back to iterate, right? So I had that done, and I had that done for the last week or so. And this is kind of how my brain operates. So I put it out there, and I want to put it out there as quickly as possible. And part of it is just getting it out into the world and getting feedback and start to, see how it's going to integrate into everything and what we're going to do with it. And then I get back to doing work, to working and helping clients and doing projects, and forget about it a little bit and then think about it. Then the weekend hit, and this weekend, Father's Day weekend, I did see my father yesterday. I had a great time. He's getting up there in age, so every moment I spend with him, I cherish, and he's doing good though. So, hope you had a nice time with your father, and spend time with your father if they're still around. Cherish that time. But I digress. So so I'm thinking about this weekend though. I'm thinking about doing extra driving. There's a little bit of a drive to go see my dad, and so more time driving, more time thinking about it, and then some light bulbs started to come on. I'm like, this is good, but I think it could be better. I think now that I have the UWD AI and experience design page, I can actually move the audit there, and that becomes the CTA. Or they can, reach out, or you can reach out directly to me, and we can talk about just doing stuff. And then on the ML side, that turns into a consulting page, more of a consulting page. So on that side, essentially, it's, let's see here. What did I call it? Smarter strategy, stronger team, systems at scale. That's what leads into it. And it really is a consulting offer. I'm going to do a 30-minute free consult to talk about anything related to this stuff. And then we can decide what we can do for them. Get on the phone. Get on the horn. And, so I'm super happy with that. Now it's more front facing. Doing all this though, I'm also having to update my CTAs and stuff along the way. So I had the CTA for the audit over there. Now I got to change that to do over here. And now it's a work with me thing. So kind of your standard work with me. So on my CTA on the homepage is looking for smarter ways to grow your business. And then from systems and automation to team strategy and partnerships, I help businesses work smarter, skills sustainably, and serve their clients better. Work with me. And it takes them to the landing page. They can learn more. Here's the thing though, like I tried to balance that one a little bit because I do also talk about strategic partnerships, and I have something called an outsourcing fit guide, and it's a 4-pillar system to create strong strategic partnerships. So I actually built this in a way where both could lead there. So not only can I directly talk about consulting or link to consulting, but also that other item can lead into it, but also stuff I'm doing UWD. So I've made it broad enough that it could, like, narrow enough, broad enough, like trying to find that balance where it doesn't matter where somebody comes from. I can capture them in this and have that conversation with them. So that was important. And the same thing happened on UWD. And yeah, so we're solid in those departments. It's so, and so as I was getting all this done, and like I said, it's kind of crazy because like when I set up offers, I'm setting up CTAs in other places. So I have to remember, oh yeah, I got to go back to Unified Labs now and update that to make sure it matches what we're doing. All the messaging matches. Then the last thing I did this weekend, which I thought about, I do have a lot to do right away this week, including Sunday evening, client-wise. But I'm like, I just decided to do this. And like I said, I work fast. So we're probably talking just a couple hours this afternoon. But I created a new guide. I created a guide. I've had name captures, list builders on my UWD site in the past. It's been a while. Most of my call to action is basically to jump to Calendly to sign up for a call. That works brilliantly. Or they call me, contact support, and then we set up the call or do whatever. So I have ways for people to get started, but I didn't have really a list building thing. So I'm like, now that I have this done, now I have all these other things done. Let me figure out the list building thing. And I worked with ChatGPT to come up with the idea. I already had a project. So this is a whole kind of a subplot, but I have a ChatGPT project, which is like, they create separate folders to talk about a specific thing, and you can train that in that project. You can train it, special instructions, feed it all kinds of information around whatever you're doing. And I've been doing that with the AI stuff. So I've had that kind of as also supporting all of this and helping me strategize. But I also had it help me write the guide. I wanted to keep it super simple and just not make it complicated at all. I wanted it to be something I could literally build within an hour. I'm super, like when I'm doing something like this. So this is the thing though, I'm going to keep it simple, but that doesn't mean it doesn't become complicated later or expand. But I want to get something out there. Like I want to build it fast and I want to get it out there. Money loves speed, guys. So 3 smart moves. 3 smart moves is essentially, and I'm going to bring this up here so we can speak to it. I moved it. Okay. Not very nice. All right. Hang on. So 3 smart moves is, okay, let me open up. Serve your audience better. It's essentially just 3 things I chose that I thought would be impactful for anybody that would get it, right? So I got a little CTA pop up on the homepage now to download this guide. All they have to do is give me their first name and email, or you can go there right now. And then they're sent an email. They're on the email list now. I don't have a follow-up system or anything yet. I'm just setting up the basics, and I'll create some follow-ups. I will do it. I'm just going to get it out there first. But I do have the guide. I actually used I did something I've never done before. I wanted to make this super fast. Like I didn't want to, I got too much to do. So how can I make a guide in an hour? Number one, I have that project going. It knew exactly what I'd been working on and was able to create these 3 smart moves for me. I also told it that I wanted to make sure that it also took into consideration our existing services, custom, maintenance, all that. So all 3 of these, kind of hit all 3 of the major things we're doing. So 3 smart moves. And then what I did is I went to Canva. We have a Canva account because my marketing person uses that for all our content to create graphics and stuff. It's just an easy way for somebody that doesn't have Photoshop or doesn't, even if you did, it's just an easier way to build out that type of content. We use that for, even if you look at our thumbnails for all our podcasts and all that, that's Canva. That's a Canva template we've created. Yeah. So, but I was like, I bet they have PDF templates. Sure enough. And then I found one that was kind of techie. Said, sure enough, I opened it up and I started modifying. It has like a first page with the title and everything. And then it just has some simple, clean, minimalist other pages. And I dropped in a little intro and the 3 smart moves. I'm going to, to learn about the 3 smart moves, though, you're going to have to download it. Or you can send me a message. I'll just give it to you. So 3 smart moves. And then, and it was super easy. Like I said, I bet this took me, once I had the content, it probably took me 20 minutes to put this together, half hour. Just to make sure it was well formatted, looked good, downloaded it. And then what I did is I used Mailchimp. So this is all I did. I did this within a few hours, okay? I keep telling you that. I'm just saying, when you've done something over and over and over again over the years, I've been building lists since the 2000s. So the process is I have to test along the way. There's some QA involved, but it's all baked into the process because it's quick. So I got the PDF now. I got something to give away. Now what do I do? So now I'm going to Mailchimp and I'm going to set that up. So what do I need? I need a tag. I need a tag in Mailchimp. So when I capture an email, it's going to tag that email. And I'm going to create an automation in Mailchimp to send them a welcome email. That's going to give them the download instructions. However, when they do sign up, they're automatically redirected to the download page. But just in case, now I have them on the list too. Awesome. So I did that. I created that. I created anything else in Mailchimp? I don't think so. I think I kept it simple this time. Again, I'm keeping it simple. It can get more complex, and we can add more automations and everything to this later. I want to get it out first. So then I have to go back to my WordPress site, Unified Web Design. I have a plugin for Mailchimp. I created the form and created the content. I got a little help from ChatGPT again. How do, it already knows what I'm doing. Easy for it to create the descriptions, the call to action, and help me do that. Obviously, I tweak it and guide it. So the first thing is, okay, I need the name capture copy. Got that. And then how am I gonna deploy it? I got a pop-up plugin that's gonna pop it up on the front page. Figure out my cookie situation, how many times it shows, how often, how do you click out of it? How is it designed? Is it going to pop up? Like mine pops up in the corner. You could pop up in the middle if you wanted. You can do other things. So now I got the pop up. I drop the Mailchimp short code. I drop that in there, and so it shows in there. It's integrated now. Okay. Now the Mailchimp thing. Now it's going to the form itself in WordPress. Actually, I put the tag in there that it's going to add when someone signs up. So it triggers that automation. And of course, I need also the download page. So that email in Mailchimp is going to send them to a download page. Right now, the download page is, guess what? Simple. There's some copy there, but it's basically just for them to download it. And later on, what I can do is I can add a video. I could add, some other magic to get them excited. But right now, all I wanted to do is to be able to deliver, keep it simple, give them something that they'd want to sign up for, and that's it. So now that ties into everything we're doing. So when somebody signs up for that, eventually I'll have some follow-ups, which will introduce them to what we're doing in AI, introduce them to my consulting, introduce them to, it gives me an opportunity to follow up and, hopefully eventually close that business. Not everybody is going to want to do business today, right? In my type of business, we don't close sales today, right? Technically, if somebody wanted one of our plugins, that would happen. That's different though. But these type of services, it might be somebody that they find us today. We talk in 90 days. We start our first project in 180 days. And then, after a year, maybe we're rolling. Or it might be 2 years from now that they decide they need somebody. It's all about timing and what's that, but also about how they get to know us, how we build our authority and all that stuff. So that's all built into this. And I did the same thing when I created the outsourcing guide as well. That's the same thing. That one has a 52-week follow-up. That's already built out. And, but it all's in it. So it kind of drives everything here. I'm going to go back to that one also and drop something in there about consulting. So, but all of this works together. And this is what I've been doing. This is what I've been building. I've been building heavy for the last number of weeks for ourselves internally. And it's been fun. I love doing this stuff. I love doing it for clients, but I love doing it for us too, right? Because even though we wake up every day to serve our clients and customers or whatever, we have to also remember we got to serve ourselves, because that's the only way we're going to get those customers and clients. And, but I'm extremely happy right now because I have built the framework. I have the sales pages. I have the name captures. I have the consulting piece now and the AI piece. And now it's built, and now we can market it, and hopefully it'll drive sales. But regardless of what happens, is like all of the stuff we're doing, it is just kind of the start, right? We have a lot of content to build around this. We have a lot of things I'll be talking about on a podcast here and there, whether with guests or with, other podcasts I'm on. I have the Substack, Matt Levenhagen. That's my name, .substack.com, I think. Or you can go to unifiedlabs.ai. There's a link there, right at the top. But I have this built out. It's a starting point though. I kept it. It's kind of complicated if you have never done it before. There's obviously a lot of steps there, right? There's things I left out. I've done this so many times. And I'm not just, tooting my own horn or something like that. I don't know. But I literally have. I've literally been on the web for more than 20 years, okay? I spent the first decade literally doing internet marketing, pay-per-click advertising, affiliate marketing, building lists, selling digital products, info products. I've done all of this, and I've done it for clients, and I've done it for myself still. So all of this. So when I think about, what was the other day? I was on a call with not the client itself, but somebody on their support team. They were having an issue with Shopify. They're doing some kind of promotion, regular promotion, using a whatever email system they have, Help Scout. They have templates in there, but for some reason, all these emails they've been sending out started redirecting to and exposing some customer data. Again, I'm laughing only because it's nervous laughter. So they turned to me. It took me a while to figure out what was even happening, but I ended up talking to Shopify, and I actually do have to follow up on that to see if they actually fixed it. I think it's related to cache, that a link got cached. So it's their server side stuff. Anyway, I was on that call though, and I am telling you this for a reason. And we were talking about how, I was looking at this problem, and the way she was describing it, we've been kind of going back and forth in email. And finally I said, let's just jump on a call because it's going to be way easier for me to ask the questions and you can screen share, whatever. And at one point, I think in her mind, what she was explaining made sense, right? In my mind, I have been doing stuff for so long that when I see a problem, I could maybe think of 10 different ways that problem is a problem. Which different direction people, because I know how everyone I deal with, whether it's agency, client, everyone does things a little bit differently. So I see things through this prism of like all these different possibilities. When the client is just looking at, they just understand their little slice of the world, right? So, and it's the same way with like all this stuff that I'm doing. Like I've done it so much that I know all the steps. So I can sit here and I don't have a written roadmap. It's all in my head, right? And maybe I have to remind myself a little bit here and there and go, oh, wait, before I do that, I got to do this, right? But I can do that stuff on the fly and quickly. So setting up landing pages, setting up, the follow-up systems and automations and all that stuff, because I've done it so many times. And you can get there. It takes practice. You do a little bit at a time, and you just, but I think the big lesson, with a lot of stuff I talk about is really just keeping it simple, getting something out there. And, even when I probably first built Unified Web Design, it probably was just a very, very simple site. It did not have a lot of pages, but I got it out there and I started selling. And then over time, over the years, it's grown in everything I do, right? So just get started. Just if you got an idea, just get started. And then going back to the original reason I'm doing this, it has built that foundation now. So now what I can do, I feel like I'm well positioned to speak to this and hopefully capture some of that business, or go to my current clients and talk to them about doing some of these things. And it just gives me a great, comfortable framework to do all this. And the stuff that like the consulting, which I've always, like I said, done, it's been baked in. Now I got it. It's actually an offer, something I can do. And the other thing, the other piece of this, of what I've been doing is, I always think I'm going to keep it to a half hour today. I'm going to make it quick today. We're at 45 minutes already. All right. 46. The other piece of this, with all this stuff happening, with the impacts on our business right now and the climate, the economy, everything going on, tariffs, all that stuff, and then the AI stuff, all that going on. The other thing is, besides building this all out and being able to speak to this now, because it also generates conversations and things like, what are you doing? I'm doing this awesome thing. Is I am going out and I'm doing a lot of outreach. I'm reaching out to, literally, I have an initiative right now to touch not literally touch, touch digitally every person that I've ever dealt with, every guest that's been on this podcast. So if you were a guest on this podcast, I'm coming for you. Every guest that's been on this podcast, every partner I've ever worked with, partners I work with now, other agencies, and I'm doing it in a way that's like, that's very customized and personal. I am not letting AI run this show. I'm not doing automations. I'm not doing like Apollo or something and doing like these automatic follow-ups. I'm not doing that. My network, I cherish, number one, but I wanted to make every touch like very unique and custom to that person. So I'm looking at what I did with them, how can I open this conversation? This could be an episode in itself. I'm doing that. And I'm also joining some new communities, which is very exciting, that I didn't even know existed, with other agencies and other people in this same realm. So and becoming more, like I said, there's different stages of your business, and sometimes you get a little lax and you're just in the work or building the business in other ways. But other times it's like, okay, I need to really up my game in these other areas and really get out there and talk to people. I'm setting up, I got several new meetings set up this next week with people I haven't talked to for a while. And yeah, it's good. So all of this is where we're at. I'm also expanding my knowledge. I am diving into N8N. I haven't figured out how to pronounce it yet, but it's like it's a way to build agents. Replit. There's other things. I've been using Zapier for many years. I already do automations, all that stuff, but I'm going to get deeper and deeper into it so we can help our clients more and do it ourselves. One of the little things that maybe the next time I have a solo podcast, I'll have something out there. I don't know how long this will take, but I plan on building my own little chat bot for our business. And I got a lot of ideas around that. It's be a pretty interesting little project. But yeah, so it's like it's bringing all things to bear. It's a unified front. It's looking at, again, what I did. I stood back. I saw what was happening. How can we evolve with this? How can we embrace it rather than just letting, just burning the place to the ground? Because we can't, because eventually, if we never changed, never adapted, we'll just fizzle out. Will become part of the history of what was. But I want to continue to be part of the history of what's going to be, the future history. But so I looked at everything. I looked at the landscape. I looked at what we did, what we already do, and I looked at things like, oh yeah, we already do a lot of this stuff. It's just this is a different way to do it, and we can look at this from a different. Like it's part of design. We don't need to change our name, Unified Web Design. We're going to still be doing web design. It's just going to evolve. It's and then adding the other consulting. Like what else can we do? And how can we kind of hedge our bets and build this thing in a way that we're here to grow and follow this new trend. And then it's just like build it all out as quickly as possible. I build stuff quickly for ourselves, and I can do that same for clients, but I can build stuff quickly. It's harder actually for clients to build stuff quickly because they have a lot of times they have a lot of input and they have to get things perfect. They have their marketing department or sales department or ad guys or gals, or they have their own ideas, and there's these iterations. I'm doing it for myself, but like I said, I suppose I don't know, I just do it. I don't like friction. It doesn't mean I don't iterate on a section multiple times. On those sales pages, there's a couple of sections that I did multiple rounds on. Change it, tweaked it, go back, look at what I did over here. How does that affect this? And I'm doing all that, but I'm doing it quickly. But I think, speed is really important, especially right now. If you're in a place with your business where you're seeing this stuff, maybe you are worried about, there's a lot of talk on the news about, AI coming to take all our jobs. But hopefully you can frame it like I have and well, I'm still going to be needed, but there are going to be people that, are going to have to pivot completely to something else or adapt in other ways. But yeah, you have to face that. You got to look at what you can control and make the decisions and do it quickly. Because otherwise you'll be left behind. I talked to another agency owner the other day. And I was surprised actually what they were all doing. In the realm of AI and speaking to that with their clients and doing stuff internally. It's amazing actually what a lot of people are doing behind the scenes even. But that's important. That's how the businesses that have been out there, and some of these businesses have been out there 20, 30 years at this point. We're actually at the age of the internet where there are agencies out there that have been around for a long, long time. a long time. I know an agency that's been around for almost 30 years that we work with, one of our partners. Another one, couple I talked to that are, was in a meeting with the other day. They're 20 plus year agencies, been around for a long time, but they've been around for a long time because they're always looking at what's happening and how to leverage that or change to, grow in that direction. So you got to do the same thing. That's how it works. So looking ahead, I think, like I said, now I have this set up. I got this framework in place that I can market and sell around. My marketing person is updated, and I do that because she needs to align with what I'm doing. She's always looking at what's Matt focused on right now, and she's going to start adapting the content. In recent weeks, I've seen her talking a lot more about AI out there in our content and in highlighting that. But that's important, bringing the whole team, understanding the whole team, even my team, my developers and stuff. I'm making sure they understand, my partners that actually do stuff for us. We do stuff. It's layered. Like we do stuff for other agencies, and then there's agencies that do stuff for us. And, we're all aligned. So we're going in this direction. Are you with me? But the whole team has to be with you. You have to bring it as an organization that they all have to come with you as well. And so you're messaging it both internally, externally. Man, I could talk about this stuff forever. But I'm really excited. I hope you found that interesting. There's a lot there. I even went into the nuts and bolts of how I set up my name capture and all that. There's a lot of little steps there, but it's, I feel really good about it. I feel good about the future. It's been a rough, year and a half for a lot of us. And certainly I've had some impacts, but I really want, I want to be here 5 years from now talking to you about how amazing this went and how, thank goodness I went in that direction. Thank goodness I did that back in 2025. And I'll come back. Maybe I'll listen. I don't usually listen to my solo episodes again, but maybe I'll look at the notes and be like, oh, I was talking about that. Oh, I'm glad I did that. That's really interesting. What a smart guy that Matt guy is. Right. I'm going to go now. I think I've run out of things to talk about. So now I'm just rambling, but I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it's inspired you. If you're struggling right now, lots going on in the world, like I said, focus on what you can control and take fast action. Take care. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Builders Podcast. One more quick note about our sponsors. At Unified Web Design, we're passionate about doing better together, partnering with agencies and businesses to deliver exceptional web design, development, and ongoing support. And Unified Plugins offers tools to take your WordPress projects to the next level, helping you build beautiful websites, enhance functionality, and drive more conversions. If you haven't already, subscribe or follow to stay updated on future episodes. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, sharing it with somebody who might benefit helps us grow this amazing community. Until next time, keep building with intention and creativity.